Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Joe Biden, Jerry Seinfeld, Netflix, and $100 million. All right, let's get and $100 million. Let's talk about it. All right, so I'm going to get my bias out of the way here. I'm doing this video to convince you not to vote for Joe Biden, right? Now, why should I convince you? Now, already this has started in the comments section, and I appreciate these comments. I appreciate the people comment and think about what I'm talking about and put negative and positive comments in the comments below. And as long as you're being civil, you can say whatever you want in the most negative possible way. You could say negative things in a civil way. That's a definite, right? Like, all right, so let's get into this, right? So I want to convince you not to vote for Joe Biden. Why? Well, one, I'm not doing it so that Donald Trump will get elected. I don't want to see that, right? I want people to vote, and I want them to vote for a person they can believe in, that they think is a person worthy of being the president. You should not vote for somebody you don't think is worthy of being the president, okay? So if you have a write-in in your state, you should do a write-in. If you don't believe in Donald Trump, don't vote for him. If you don't believe in Joe Biden, don't vote for him, okay? Because if you do vote for people that you do not believe in, that you do not support what they're doing, then you are asking for more of that from your party. It's your fault. Vote for the person you think is, that you can stand behind, right? That you believe will do a good job, right? That you believe actually wants the job, right? That you would be proud to stand next to, okay? And to do the job that you are electing them for, right? And that's the issue. Is I cannot, in good conscience, well, you know what? I can't stand next to Joe Biden. One of the biggest reasons why I can't stand next to Joe Biden is I very much care about the retirement age. Not just for me. You know, I got 16 years before I'm even eligible to retire. And frankly, I work in tech, man. I'm going to die an old Gandalf tech wizard. Are you kidding, man? I will probably never, ever retire. I'll probably work until I'm 75, 80 years old, right? Just writing arcane code like some kind of super dope wizard. And the reality is within tech, if your skills are high, you can work forever. Right now, so that's my plan, right? But the reality is the reason why I'm doing that is like the whole world don't rest in my hands, right? And there's a limit to also one of the things that people who work until they're well past their retirement age in tech, they take fewer hours, those kind of things, and take less stressful roles, all that kind of thing, right? But the reality is there's no rest, there's no break. There's no mercy for you if you're in the president's role. You need to be getting up in the middle of the night. You need to be going into disaster areas. You need to be risking your life with international travel. This job is not for this job isn't for an 86-year-old person. The idea that the U.S. president should be 86 years old, which is exactly what you're signing up for if you vote for Joe Biden, is outrageously dangerous. It is outrageously dangerous to Joe Biden. It is outrageously dangerous for this nation. You should not vote for Joe Biden. And I'm going to give you another reason tonight why. All right, so let's get into it. Why should you not vote for Joe Biden? You shouldn't vote for Joe Biden because Jerry Seinfeld is telling you that you should not vote for Joe Biden. Not with his words, but with his actions. All right? So let's talk about Netflix. Netflix has this awesome show, Money Heist. It's about a person who steals millions and millions of dollars from an organization. Now, Money Heist is air quotes. There is a show literally called Money Heist on Netflix. I'm not telling you to watch that. I ain't never watched that. But I did watch Jerry Seinfeld's 1 hour special, 1 hour and 10-minute comedy special, and that's the real Money Heist on Netflix. Because he just about robbed them of $100 million, right? That's the biggest heist I've ever seen. Play the music. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Sneaky, sneak, sneak. Steal a bunch of money, leave, right? Like, holy cows. This is the real Money Heist on Netflix. You know, now I know a lot of people are real excited about that action show, and it's on my list to watch it sometime. But I think I saw the real Money Heist when I saw Jerry Seinfeld's comedy special. Holy cows, did he steal a bunch of money from Netflix. Now, he didn't do this in any illegal way. He did it with a big smile on his face and right in front of them, right? And frankly, they asked for their money to get stolen. Okay, so here's what happened, right? First of all, Jerry Seinfeld's 1 hour and 10 minute special on Netflix, you can skip it because it is straight brass. It is nothing but outrageously stereotypical, old school dad jokes. Like, I'm not kidding. If you get here's some humdingers from Jerry Seinfeld's comedy special, okay? He's like, hey, you should, if you get a wife, she's going to have a lot of questions, and you'd better have answers, buddy. Or here's another one. We spend a lot of time on our phones. Blah, blah, blah. We should really, you know, we're so addicted to him, and we don't like being apart from him. And just a string of these tired, old, hackneyed jokes, right? And when I say hackneyed, that's not me saying it. Jerry Seinfeld literally in the special says, I'm hacking out another one of these. And he is. In this special, he is a hack. This is bad, right? Now, it is bad from a comedy special. From an action-adventure special, it's amazing. Because you're watching one man steal $100 million from Netflix. Now, let's talk about that $100 million. That is what Hollywood Reporter is estimating that Jerry Seinfeld's deal with Netflix is worth. So this is just one special. Supposedly they're going to have him do a bunch of other nonsense that arguably people will watch, right? Which I think people will watch them, right? But this thing is the only way he could have phoned this in more is if he literally phoned it in. And frankly, I would have had more respect for Jerry Seinfeld if he had called in, if he had actually gotten on his phone and called in this special, rather than taking a very nice theater in the middle of New York and having people come out to watch this nonsense that he called a comedy special. Now, why am I a little upset with Jerry Seinfeld? Well, here's the thing. First of all, the number of comedians who have made tens of millions of dollars on Netflix is very low. Let's talk about it, okay? It is the following people: Jerry Seinfeld, Ellen DeGeneres, it is Dave Chappelle, it is Chris Rock, and it is Jerry Seinfeld. I think that's the full list, okay? If I missed anybody, you can tell me in the comments, right? Also, I'm going to call this out right now. I am convinced, this is just me speculating, but I will bet you, I'll bet you donuts to donuts that that Jim Gaffigan got $10 to $20 million from Amazon. Jim Gaffigan's in that group. He's one of the best comedians in the world. He's incredibly well known. He's a comedian's comedian. He has respect from people. He has respect from the Pope. He has respect from his audience. Like, he's a world-class comedian, period, right? And I think he went over to Amazon because everybody's over at Netflix, and he had an opportunity. And they put him in some movies. Same thing. He got a deal, right? Now, here's the thing. I would not be that upset with Jerry Seinfeld. I watched Ellen DeGeneres' special. It was, you know what? I didn't even finish it. I just didn't think it was. She was making a lot of jokes about how rich she was, right? Which, I don't know. Like, okay, if you were really super rich, I get it, but I don't understand why you would take the time to brag about that to people who came out to see you. Jerry Seinfeld did the same thing. Just talked a lot about how rich he was, right? I think Chappelle did a little bit about that, but here's the real issue. I am very upset with, I am disappointed. I shouldn't say I'm upset. I'm very disappointed with Jerry Seinfeld. And the reason why is he got $100 million for this. $100 million. That's a lot of money, right? And the reality is, he is still a comedian, right? And if you're going to take $100 million, you should do your work, right? You should get paid for it, right? You should do the work you're getting paid for, right? And here's the thing. I know that Dave Chappelle did. How do I know Dave Chappelle really worked incredibly hard for the $60 million he got from Netflix? Well, I listened to Joe Rogan. And I'm not kidding. there's a half a dozen comedians who came into Joe Rogan and talked to Joe Rogan. And when they were talking about him over a span of a year, they were talking about Dave Chappelle getting his set dialed in for Netflix. He traveled all over the country. He practiced places, and he took a lot of risks and worked incredibly hard. And frankly, and he delivered, honestly, I think it was like 3 specials for Netflix, and every single one of them pushes the line of comedy further, takes risks, and raises the bar, and says, if you're going to get paid $60 million to make people laugh, you darn well better make them laugh, right? And the reality is, Jerry Seinfeld did not make anybody... Okay, so here we go. Hour and 10 minutes, I laughed twice. I laughed out loud twice. I'm going to admit that, right? So, now here's the problem. On any one of Dave Chappelle's 3 sets, right, I laughed more in a single segment than I laughed in the entire thing of Jerry Seinfeld's nonsense special. He phoned that thing in and got paid $100 million to do it. And frankly, it's outrageous in my opinion. And the reason why is Dave Chappelle, there were comedians who talked about his process. He drops in to one of these, mic in a brick wall places, right? He would do 2, 3, 4-hour sets, and he had his own people in the audience tracking the laughter rate, tracking his own jokes, and he would rework his jokes from place to place to place, right? And just crafted that hour, each one of those hours like a finely tuned sword, right? He just worked his butt off. And he was coming at it from an American perspective, saying, hey, you paid me $60 million. I'm going to work my butt off, and I'm going to deliver one of the funniest, really hardcore American comedian specials you've ever seen. And honestly, I'm a huge Dave Chappelle fan, but frankly, I think the stuff he did for Netflix is funnier than the stuff he did for the Dave Chappelle show. And it's nuanced, and it shows people, hey, if you're a professional, this is how you get it done. You work your butt off. You hone your craft. You keep the saw sharp. What Jerry Seinfeld did, man, that was a travesty. It was shameful. It was shameful to the body of knowledge of comedy and to the profession of comedian. Okay? And frankly, it's dangerous because I think that, Netflix is going to walk away a little frustrated. Well, you know what? Let's talk about it. They might not. Let's talk about Joe Biden. All right? Now, first of all, Joe Biden is Jerry Seinfeld all over. You can tell right now. Joe Biden is not working hard. He is not doing enemy territory interviews. He's not doing long-form interviews. He ain't, and he really is not going above and beyond, and he has never gone above and beyond. He's done the same nonsense he's done all along, right? He doesn't reach out to the American people. He reaches out to institutions, right? Does your organization, are they lined up with 10,000 plumbers, right? He'll talk to you, right? But what if you're 4 people in a coffee shop? He ain't going to talk to you, right? Joe Biden ain't going to talk to 4 people in a coffee shop. Andrew Yang did. He's got that Dave Chappelle type of hustle. And guess what? Dave Chappelle recognized that Andrew Yang had Dave Chappelle type of hustle and actually, went out and asked people to vote for Andrew Yang, right? Because he saw the hustle. He saw the grind. There ain't no grind in Joe Biden. There never was. And there never will be, right? If you elect Joe Biden, you are going to get a nonsense 1 hour, 10-minute, phoned-in piece of junk. Just the way Jerry Seinfeld delivered for Netflix. Do not get rooked. Don't lose your vote over somebody who ain't going to work hard, right? Look at right now what Joe Biden is doing. Every time he's on screen, I guarantee you, he will be surrounded by people who have given prepped questions, and he's doing nothing now. And the reality is, it's going to be very, very hard for him to beat Donald Trump with this low energy, phoned in Jerry Seinfeld nonsense. So the reality is, Joe Biden and Jerry Seinfeld, they're from the same cloth. super rich, high-end, neighborhoods, high-end, like people surrounding them. It's the same thing, right? These are people who have never had to grind to make it. You know what I mean? Andrew Yang had to grind to make it, right? So when you go and you put your vote down, vote for somebody who's going to grind, right? Now I hear you. More and more people are saying this in the comments. They're like, "Oh, Scott, if you don't vote for Biden, Trump's going to win, right? Trump may win, but it ain't going to be because of my vote, right? We as a people need to vote for people who deserve the presidency. If you give your vote to someone who cannot do the job, does not deserve the job, does not want the job, then do not be surprised when your party serves that nonsense up to you again in 4 years. Vote your heart and your mind. Vote for people with charisma, intelligence, nobility, and people who grind, who work hard. This is America. You don't phone it in for $100 million. And frankly, in my opinion, Jerry Seinfeld shamed the comedian. He just brought shame to the comedian profession. Now he's got more work to do for them. And frankly, I hope he listens to this, and I hope he does some actual work. Right? You got to get out of your car and stop getting coffee and go and actually do some work. And all you got to do, Jerry, to figure out how to do it is take a look at Dave Chappelle and do half his work, and then you can deliver something funny, right? Joe Biden, you want to know how to actually win this over Donald Trump? Start grinding like Andrew Yang, right? Do something above and beyond. Don't just sit there and do friendly territory interviews, do short form interviews. Like, this has really got to stop. And I really do not want to see this phone-in president in the same form as the phone-in comedian. Oh, that's my opinion. If you saw that hour, if you were as unfortunate as me to sit through that hour and 10 minutes, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you think that Joe Biden is a grinder and that I'm not getting it, or that there's any good reason for you to vote for him, I'd love to hear that in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.